Okay. So, good afternoon. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week. It's almost Christmas time. Christmas, Kwanzaa, all those holidays. So, it could be a busy time of the year. It could be a mix of emotions, just depending on like how life is for you. So, hopefully, everyone's in good spirits. But this episode is gonna be based off of a poem that I found, and I thought it kind of ties into the episode that I did like a few days ago, um, last week's episode. So if you haven't already, check it out. The universe has a plan. So this one is kind of like a reflection um, of like difficult times and what it means. So it's a rose from a seed. That's what this episode is going to be called. So I'm going to read the poem for you, and then we can kind of just dissect it, kind of. So it says, "I asked God for a rose, but He gave me a seed. It took me years to comprehend what it means. He told me to plant it, and I did. Yet none of this was making any sense to me. I wanted what I asked for there and then. I didn't want to wait years for it, but He tells me to be patient. I'm trying to remain obedient. It's so difficult to not look at everyone else's gardens, seemingly abundant with roses of every color. Look at me, he tells me, holding my hand in his. Day by day, we've been watering the soil consistently, but I tell him that I'm getting tired of seeing no sign of fruition. He replies, rest if you must, but don't give up on me, my love. He said that he'll take care of it while I rest. I chose to believe him, but that didn't take away the pain of waiting. He understood that I was frustrated, yet he held me steadfast in his embrace and basked me peacefully in his grace. One night I cried myself to sleep in his arms as we watched and waited for the rose to spring. The next morning it did, though not one, but plenty, spread beautifully throughout my garden in abundance, more beautifully and wonderfully than I ever dreamed. And that's from Devana Fayana. Um, yeah, it was a poem that she wrote. So I thought it was a really beautiful poem, and I thought it was fitting. Just again, kind of like what I've been talking about all this year of having patience, planting the seed, and letting God do His thing, and like letting God, the universe, whoever it is that you believe in, your higher self, or all of them combined, put in work. And I've seen like pretty much all year when I'm like scrolling online or like on different um, social media platforms, like this message of when God is silent, He is doing something for you, or He's at work. And so, like, to appreciate the silence and know that, you know, it means something good is coming. So, and I feel like this kind of is connecting that too. Like and I feel like I've definitely done an episode about this. Like the day you plant the seed is not the day that you see what it is that you planted come to fruition. It could take you, just like for like a garden, like you plant the seeds and you have to water it and wait for it to grow, and it could take a whole nother season and for you to see the flowers come to fruition. So that's similar to how it is with life. Like once you plant something, you manifest something, it doesn't mean that it's going to come the next day or within the same season that you manifested it. It might have to take a season to grow and to become a reality. It might take more than one season. It might take a year. It might take however long it takes. But like it said, like I like how it says at the end that when it did finally come to fruition, it was more than what she imagined, and created like a full garden of abundance, and more than what she dreamed. And I feel like I talked about that. I don't know if it was in the last episode or the episode before that. Like the same analogy of um the same analogy of when the going to like the restaurant and ordering the food and you waiting on your food to come and it's taking a long time, but you end up getting a meal that you were bigger than you expected. So similar to that, like that's just kind of how sometimes it works. It's all divine timing and like when the right time is needs to be. And so you just have to be patient. You have to keep going. And I like how it says also like when you feel like you're gonna give up, instead of giving up, just rest and leave it in God's hands, leave it in the universe's hands to continue doing the work while you rest, because we are only human and there are going to be times when you just feel like, all right, I've put in so much work, this month or these months or these years or whatever, and it feels like I don't see anything. And then also you adding in like other outside sources of friends, family, or just people like strangers, social media, things like that, or just people around you. We are human, so we're gonna sometimes do a comparison of other people and seeing how far along they're going, and you start to question like why am I not going along, or am I doing something wrong? And in those times, that's usually a sign for you to like take a step back and relax, rest, recharge, reset, and then keep going on the journey that you were on. Because 9 times out of 10, you're on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to do. It's a lot of work and it takes time. And to create something really great, it takes a lot of time and patience and hard work. And so it's okay to step back and kind of let's like regroup. And it's nice that if you have the faith to do so, that that's why I feel like a lot of times when you hear certain religious like talks or and spirituality, stuff like that, like they say you have to have trust and have faith in whatever it is that you believe in, along with yourself, because you have to also trust that, hey, if I take a rest, that I'm not going to come back to more work. Or like if I take a rest, that somebody else or another source, another higher up, or God, another power is still working for me too, right? It's not all on you. I say this a lot. Like you can only do so much on your part. The rest you have to just leave it to God. And that's where the faith and the trust comes, that what it is that you are manifesting, what it is that you've planted will come to fruition, if it's meant for you, and it will be in a greater abundance than probably what it is that you originally thought that you were planting for. If you planted one seed, you will more than likely end up with a garden. And if you planted a garden, you'll end up with a field. Like you always get more than what you've originally put in, if you are practicing what it is that you need to do. Because it's not just about like planting the seed and walking away and then just being like, oh, I'm gonna get what it is that I'm planting. Like, no, that's what it says, like about being consistent, having patience, remaining obedient even in the tough times, even when if there's a drought, right, a dry season, and maybe you're like worried that, all right, what I've planted, I did what I was supposed to do, but now I don't have the right. You need water. You need weather, the weather to be a certain type of weather for your seed to grow. And so in those times, like still having patience and having faith that this too shall pass, and like this is what's needed. And so we do need a dry season sometimes. We do need a season of just like abundance. It's like it's all about the balance and being able to function in both sides too. Um, and trying to say what else it says, like choosing to believe him, choosing to believe in yourself, choosing to believe in the process, choosing to believe that you're not waiting in vain, um, and choosing to believe that what you have planted not only will come to fruition, but it will be um, a beautiful harvest and something really great and really worth waiting for. And I feel like in those difficult times when you are hoping for something or working towards something and it's taking longer than you thought it would, to come about, usually it's going to be, again, like it says, it's worth the wait, it's worth the pain, it's worth the frustration, tough tough days, tough nights, like all the hard work that you're putting in, it's not just going unnoticed. It's frustrating, and it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be impatient sometimes. It's okay to feel like you want to give up, but as long as you don't give up, as long as you are able to, I feel like that's a part of like being mature too, emotionally mature, like realizing like, hey, you know what? Like today's just not the day, right? Or I'm just not feeling it, or I don't feel like putting in the work. And instead of just saying, forget it, I'm not going to keep at this, I'm going to take a step back for however long it is that you feel you need to do that. As long as you don't lose sight on your goals and what it is that you're trying to achieve, and to just get back in the game, right? Um, even when it's like sports, you see professional sports, all of that, even not even professional, but just in general, like from playing sports, like you need breaks. We need a break sometimes. You can't just keep going, going, going and think that you're gonna win. You need to take a step back. You need to let things be. And in our society, in this world, it's not always easy to do that, because you do have outside pressures of various sorts, whether it be just like family, friends, social media, or bills, right? That's a big one because adulting just, it's just not a fun game time, but it is what it is, right? And with that being said, like we just have all these outside pressures, outside responsibilities that we have to take care of, right? And it gets tough. And in those times is when, like, if you can find a way to rest, or a form of rest, whether that be, even if it's like not saying not doing anything, but maybe doing things in increments, not trying to do all these things at the same time, or trying to do all this work at the same time, like giving yourself a break in that sense also, like, all right, only maybe having like, okay, in terms of like goals for the year, not feeling like you have to get all these goals done within that year, or you have to get them done within like the first 5 to 6 months, like taking time to spread it out and let things play out, because again, you only have control over certain things, and everything works together in a sense, and you have to understand that when you are planting the seed, that okay, you plant the seed, but you need a certain type of dirt, you need a certain amount of water, you need a certain amount of sunlight, like all these factors come into play, and you can only control so much, right? You can control the dirt, you can control where you plant the seed, you can control to an extent the water supply to the thing, but you can't control the sun. That's not something that we can control. And you can't control the weather. It might end up being like a completely, dry season, or too wet of a season, like, like so many things. So you can only have so much control over how your seed comes about, when it comes about, where, like all those things. It really is all about having faith in, like I said, yourself, a higher self, the universe, like your just everything around you, and how the story is going to play out. So when you are in these difficult times and you're feeling like your work is going unnoticed, or it's just not coming at the time that you thought it would, or you're feeling like time is slipping away, um, you should take that time to recognize that and take a step back and be like, all right, let me rest. That's a sign of like needing to rest, because I've been putting in a lot. I've been so focused on this, and maybe I need to take a step back so that it can do its thing too, right? Because sometimes that too, even like when you are planting a seed, you have to let the seed do its thing. Like you can't hover over the seed and be like, all right, I gave you water, I gave you dirt, I gave you the sunny outside, so hurry up and grow. Like you still gotta let the seed do its part too. So with that being said, like whatever it is that you are planting and manifesting and hoping for, you have to let that thing do its thing too, to come to fruition and do whatever it is to be able to show up for you the way that you need it to, especially if you are hoping, and I would think that you are hoping that it's coming in an abundance form, and that it's coming in its best form, and as close to perfect form as it could, right? And or is you getting more? If you want more than what you asked for, you definitely have to be more patient, because that means it's going to take more time. It's going to take more time for it to come, for you to get even better than what you've imagined. So, um, but also just like the importance of focusing on your own garden. Don't worry about what somebody else is planting and how fast theirs is coming to fruition, and how big their garden is or how little it is, or just to compare and contrast. Like, it's not about that, it's about you. And when you focus on other people, you lose out on being able to grow yourself. When you focus on yourself, you grow. You can grow to be the best version of yourself, but also you'll, with when you're in that growth and you're focused on your own growth, you don't even see sometimes um how bigger, I don't want to say big, but you won't even recognize sometimes your own growth until somebody else spots it, or you have an instance where you are able to recognize, like, okay, I have grown as a person. And that's usually the best, like when you can't even, when you're so focused on yourself and becoming a better person and growing, and just having good morals and practices and a good way of life, and you're so wrapped in that in a positive way that you are living it day by day, to the point where you don't even recognize that you're, like, you're on the other side or you have grown. That's a great thing too, because that means that you really are taking it serious, and you are actually really dedicated to your growth and influencing that. And that's a great, beautiful thing too. And that's something to definitely congratulate yourself for and pat yourself on the back for, because that means that you really are about it. Like, you really are doing what it is that you say that you wanted to do. You really are showing up as the version of yourself that you said that you wanted to become and that you want to remain and be, right? So trying to think what else it says. Um, Definitely don't give up. Definitely be able to pay attention to your own garden. Be patient. Be obedient. Um, and that is okay. It says also to cry, like to cry and cry and feel like, okay, I don't want to give up, but I'm so defeated. And sometimes when we are defeated, it's easier to walk away and feel like, okay, well, maybe I've been putting in all this work and this is the wrong direction, right? Or I've been putting in work into something that is not for me. And in those times, yes, that could be the case, but I feel like I doubt that. I feel like if you are at something for so long and you haven't had any like interruptions, or things haven't kind of pushed you in a different direction, then I feel like you are going the right way. It's just it's, you need a little bit more strength, and you a little bit more time, and you need to keep going. So again, like it says, in those times, it's okay to cry and feel like you're frustrated, but you don't allow yourself to give up, and don't allow yourself to feel defeated, but instead recognize your strength. It's There's strength in crying, there's strength in being vulnerable, there's strength in taking a step back and like resting, there's strength in reevaluating your direction or what it is that your actions more so. There's a lot of strength in those things that are sometimes viewed as a negative, but they really are positive, because again, it feels like, to me, that means that you are living in reality with yourself, and you are showing up as your authentic self in the situation, and not painting this picture that, oh, like, I just put in the work and it just comes to me and I never face any obstacles, or everything is great. Because sometimes, like, that's how other people can portray things, and I think that's how people start to self-doubt and evaluate themselves and feel like, okay, well, dang, like, this person doesn't show that they are struggling, or that they, when they started their business, that they had to they had a couple of setbacks, or it didn't work out the first time. Like, sometimes you do see those stories and it's just like the person is making it seem like at the first try everything was great, but 9 times out of 10 that's usually not the case. Like, usually people do have to reevaluate and like redo their plan and keep at it. So don't feel like you are a failure if you are in that situation, or if you feel like, again, like you've planted the seed for whatever it is and it's not coming to fruition yet. Today is only December 20th. A lot can happen within these next like week or so, right? That maybe is a goal that you had to complete this year and you're feeling like, dang, like I didn't complete it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to come. It could come this next week. But also remember that we're in retrograde. So like the other day I was feeling like that, like, dang, I thought I was going to have this done, a certain goal completed by the end of the year, which I guess still could happen. But then I realized it's retrograde, and I'm like, oh well, you know what? I'm not worried about it because this is not the time to be doing something, to like start something new anyway. So, sometimes this is a time of rest. Like this is a time of like, all right, maybe I won't. I'll still put in some work, but I'm not gonna feel like forced on it and like press the issue, because this is not necessarily a time to start something new unless it's really really orchestrated, for me to begin that, and it's almost like better to start it off on the new year, because retrograde is until January 1st. So it's actually kind of fitting that the end of the year is a retrograde, and it's a time of releasing things that no longer serve you, and making room for new beginnings, making way for new mindset, new practices, just new things. And it's actually really, really good that it's retrograde, honestly, towards the end of the year, because this is the end of the year is like a time when you do kind of clean up shop in your life, and you make decisions of what it is that you want to do moving into the new year, and how it is that you want to do that. So keep that in mind also, that these next few weeks, like 2 weeks or so, if crazy things are happening and things are not making sense, like we are in retrograde. So it's just things are being shifted and moved around for your in your life, for your higher self, and for your next step. So just don't sweat it. Like don't sweat it when things are not going right. It's not just you. Um, and take this time to rest and to rejuvenate yourself, and to be able to go into the new year a fresher version of yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the stuff. Like, yeah. But also, it's holiday time. Like, if you can, take the time to enjoy those around you that you love in your life. Show them appreciation, show them love, in whatever it is way that you practice that, and reflect on the things that you have done this year. I'm sure there's at least like 3 to 5 things that you can think of that you have done this year that you are proud of, whether it be for yourself or for others. um be grateful that, like, we've made it this far. Today's December 20th. Like, again, the year is almost over and we're going into 2024. It's going to be a good year. Manifesting that now. Um, and that, you did do what you're supposed to do this year, and you will continue to do so next year. So that's a seed right there in itself to plant that, you know what? I did what I was supposed to do this year. I still got time to still do things this year. And I'm going to go into next year like a fresh version of myself, ready to keep going and keep planting more seeds. So I think that's it for that. I feel like that was good. Again, this is, you know, about when you ask God for a rose and he gives you a seed. And what do you do with that? So I hope this was helpful to whoever listens. And I hope that you have a great rest of the week going into the holiday. Hope you have a great holiday. Um, and there will be another episode that comes out like around New Year's Eve to end out the year, that I'm going to record too. So look out for that. If you haven't already, please follow, subscribe to the podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Black Hippie Lounge. And again, you can subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or other avenues too. If you go to my Instagram, there's a link that you could click on to be able to find out like what works for you to listen to the podcast, and then you could subscribe to whatever it is. Like there's like Google Podcast, something like that. Like there's so many other different avenues too that I have linked that you could listen to. It's not just Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but those are the most ones that I use. So those are the ones that I just always come to mind for. But again, you can always check it out on my link and follow however you do. If you want to share with other people that you listen to, definitely I appreciate that. If you have any topics that you want me to discuss or questions that you want me to answer on a podcast episode, or like, yeah, I would love to do that, like answer people's questions, like whether it be advice or stuff like that. If people send those in too, you can send me that like DMs or email me or something, and I could answer questions that way too. And I do plan on doing more interviews next year. I already have one that I'm going to work on setting up so that I can record, and just keep doing that and helping people get their stuff out there. And yeah, that's all I got. So as always, I'm your host, Chanel. This is the Black Hippie Lounge podcast. Meditate, manifest, invest in you, and take care. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.